Hey everyone, it's your boy Matt here, and this is a very, very unremarkable, very, very plain personal update. This is not intended to be something which is useful or meaningful to anyone. I've made a statement today regarding Valentine's Day, and that's fine. Uh, I am making this very quick statement, just explaining my health, just some things because I'm constantly being prodded and I'm constantly being judged all the fucking time by people who often are not interested in my health and are more interested in trying to subjugate me into and to do this, what they do is that they look at behaviors and they're like, oh, that's a health problem, when it's really just, well, it's actually just an adaptation to my circumstances. It's not a health problem. uh, my health problems are all caused by the police and these incompetent, sadistic institutions and people who take pleasure in abusing me. That's what's happened. When those people go away, when I'm given legal rights, my life increases so much. I'm in the situation I am in because I've been abused by fascists and I've had to escape a fascist community, and I've had to escape a some truly terrible situations. And at the age of 30, I may now be able to start my life. But even then, it's pretty fucking far away from being able to start things because I'm still being abused by the state. Now, what's so in context behaviors? I spend a lot of time online on Facebook. It's not because it's a Facebook addiction or a media addiction. It's because that's the fucking thing that I can do when I'm hungover as fuck. And I'm intentionally kept socially isolated, and I can't form regular relationships with people anymore because I'm stopped from engaging in normal community activities. I am because I have this abuse by the government, this unjustified abuse by the government, which is only there because it allows people to feel powerful and allows them to subjugate someone. And these people are just bad people. There's don't respect the police. Don't ever fall into the trap of thinking because they might smile at you or because they have a Facebook page where they're trying to do community engagement or anything like that, that they are decent human beings. As an institution, everything I've seen from these people has been pretty fucking disgusting, and it's the they are it is a terrible, terrible group of people. And if you are ever made into a vulnerable person, as I have been, by sadists, by very evil people across a bunch of industries, um, then and you're subject to a situation where you can have people who take pleasure in abusing you abuse you, it is horrifying. It is terrible. And these patterns of behavior, which will be said to be health problems, they're not health problems. They're the natural result of this structured abuse. And my job over the past 2 years has been is to find ways to get that abuse to stop so I can be healthy and I can get on with my life. I have not been able to do that because I've been abused by an entire industry. I have been abused by the Australian Army, the Australian Signals Directorate. I've been abused by some juvenile and very sadistic people in the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu community. And I have been pushed down, put into poverty, had the opportunities to have human relationships and be a human and not an animal. Um, put on me. I've been made into this. And it's happened so publicly. And the biggest thing I've learnt from it is why we have human rights, because you cannot trust the public or our institutions or people who have titles in healthcare to be able to protect and care for people. We need human rights. We need the enforcement of human rights. Otherwise, atrocities, as has happened to me, happen more frequently. And the result is that I'm unlikely to ever own a home. I've defaulted on a small credit card debt, which I won't be able to pay back because the government has stopped me from being able to work. And then after they stop me from being able to work, they then do all this terrible shit procedurally, trying to, with a narrative that, oh, we need to get him into work or something. You fuckers have created this situation. The thing for you to do is to fuck off. So that's it. This is, you are seeing with me a person who has been suffered terrible and repeated bastardization by people with power, and you're seeing a person who's learnt to be able to fight back against it. You are not seeing a person who has health problems. Those health problems are the result of this continued abuse. When that abuse stops, I can start working towards solutions for these things, because I've found that I am a member of a population and that will be abused by the healthcare professionals and these different institutions. When I had compulsory, as part of my AHPRA certification, and I fucking hate those guys. Like I've mentioned Theo Aliku's name a couple of times. This was a guy who was an actual fascist. He sent me memes regarding fascism on Facebook, these weird shit, because I had to relate to him because I was stopped from being able to get legal representation. I still can't get legal representation. It's such a fucked up situation because my situation doesn't get disclosed to me formally. So what the fuck do I say to a lawyer? Right? How do I even begin this process? It's the most open and public display of a human rights violation in Australian history. And it's been so damning and humiliating to the authorities, yet it still has kept going. And it's indicative of the values of Australian people. This is who we are as a people. And it's something which needs to be worn by the authorities and people in the community who have been okay with this. Now, what I want is I want my human rights, and I want someone to describe formally my legal situation. I want someone to be able to tell me what the fuck is going on, so I can then begin going through a process of advocacy so I can have human rights and I can get on with my life, start my life after having been bastardized at the age of 19 in the Navy and losing a decade of my life to that abuse, having my abusers then come back into my life and continue to abuse me at a later age, having my abusers collaborate with my other abusers, such as Stephen Cole and Donald Macaskill, to try and continue that process of bastardization, which started when I was 19 and continued by these men into my 30s. I want these people to, like, in cases like Stephen Cole, he's a guy who has fucked up. He's fucked up from his work and the institution that he grew up in. Like, there is a degree of grace which I provide men like that. I do not provide grace to anyone like Donald Macaskill. But this situation has been horrific. It has been just such a public display of government negligence, malice, and incompetency. And it's something which will be a case study and be a dark chapter in Australian history. Actually, like, one person as a chapter sounds a bit much. This isn't this fucking Stolen generation or something. But it's just such, like, the series of fuck ups and the series of cultural and managerial inadequacy which has been displayed by our government. Because if you are unethical, and a lot of times it's actually incompetence and not just your moral bearing, it's just that you can't fucking figure out how to behave adaptively for your situation. A whole lot of these people, they're the ones who should be fucking punished. It's not the innocent guy. Like the closest narrative book to my situation is not 1984, which I've done a book analysis trying to describe the nature of these of corruption and the development of fascism in intelligence institutions. It's actually To Kill a Mockingbird, and there's a character in To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm trying to remember his name, and he ended up being put into house arrest instead of being sent to prison after him and his friends went out partying. There was a car which got stolen and they got very drunk and disorderly. And those other guys, and they should not have been sent to prison, were sent to prison. And this guy, because of some connection thing, got put into this situation where he wasn't allowed to interact with the community anymore. Now that same thing has happened to me. There's literally a depiction of my situation, which is meant to describe the persecution of innocence in a famous book, which we actually use in cultural studies in Australia, and many school children have read. And we've seen the fucking same story play out publicly. We've seen 1984 and To Kill a Mockingbird play out in our society in the year 2025, 2024, all of it. And it's horrifying, and it should get a lot of people stirred up, and it should get people taking action. And the fact that the institutions have not been able to correct their behavior after such a long history with many publicly displayed incidences of malice and just gross malpractice in such a public format and way should horrify Australian citizens. Australian citizens should realize now that you can be completely destroyed by the police and our government, and that these people are not your friends, and that we need to have human rights and stronger protection for human rights in Australia, because otherwise this kind of thing's going to happen again, and it can't be based on a populist opinion. Like if you're in in Israel, Israelis are totally fine with the genocide in Palestine. They love that shit, right? That's proper public opinion. That's what they like. Do you really want public opinion and the idea of populist ideas such as destroying the life of a guy who is not a pedophile rapist, but a person who has just experienced a life of institutional abuse? Do you want this to be the norm, where we get this kind of behavior? Because it seems to be what we've got. Have a good day, everyone. That's the personal update. It's on Valentine's Day. Let's go.